Garrison Price for Monday, August 11th, 2025, coming to you from the Nation Network studio, built by Arbor Lee here at the historic Wall Center in downtown Vancouver. And this show, a presentation of Bet365. Matt Sekeres back alongside Blake Price, four-time Juno Award winner Mike Rogerson, hitting switches and conducting things in the producer's booth. How was your time away?
Mine was pretty good. How about yours?
It was fantastic. Thank you.
Good.
Love seeing different stops in British Columbia. We hit up Harrison.
Yeah, you covered a lot of ground.
We did. Well, the problem is the drive to Prince George in one day is so hellish. And we got to go visit our folks up in Prince George. So we decided this year, go to Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
We love the hot springs. It's my first time on Harrison Lake itself. Not the warmest lake. But nevertheless, great setup there on the beach. So we did a night there. Woke up the next morning. We were at a ground level unit. There were reporters outside of our window on the beach reporting on different fires in and around the area. So we're like, oh my goodness. Then we endeavored the drive up to PG, go right through Lytton, saw the fire there again. I think there are some signs about Lytton, everybody.
Yeah. The way the weather converges there.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, we were watching this fire billow from across the highway, across the cavern.
Yeah.
So, and then made our way up to PG and then Penticton, played some golf in Oliver. So, yes, had a outstanding time on vacation, seeing super
beautiful
natural
BC,
British Columbia. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, people were pretty well behaved on the roads.
Yeah?
I was really surprised, because oftentimes you see some stuff on those highways. But for the most part, it was travel easy. How about you?
Yeah, it's good. Got to get away with my entire family for what may be the last time. I don't know if there's going to be another full, all four kids in attendance trip. So that's exciting. As I look ahead to this week and look at the BC Ferries reservations, I'm daunted by future travel to Vancouver Island, where my route, which is at Horseshoe Bay, is an all-reservation route starting soon. No more
just being able to hop on?
No more hopping on. No more assured loading cards. So it's reso only at Horseshoe Bay coming up soon.
When do you have to make the call, though? Like, what constitutes a reservation?
October 15th is the day, by the way.
Can you get in line and just make a reservation from your phone?
Yeah, on a blustery late October day, yes. Mm-hmm. But anytime where where
you'd actually want to sail,
yes, not as much, right? So it's changing. It's changing travel in this province.
Yeah, it sure is. The other thing, I'm glad we have a highway expansion happening now out Langley, Abbotsford way.
Now it's been going for 10 years.
No, it has been going for a long time, and the sooner the better. Everybody, can we get that opened up, please? Holy cow! Because you will get to the spot where it slows down in reasonably good time, and then it just crawls along there. Heading eastbound.
If anybody knows the end date of that
oh my goodness
project, please do let us know. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like it's close.
Let's get to our Bogey Juice poll question for today, asking you if JT Müller is named captain of the Rangers, will that stir any emotions with you, Blake Price?
Positive, negative, you could be. I've already seen some. Yes, laughter. Well, that's an emotion. You could be thinking, ha ha ha, they think they've got a good one. They don't know what they're doing. You could be thinking, gosh, he got away. He's a leader of one of the brand names of this league, and we let him get away. It could be any of those. Vote away. And do reply if you do have the time with your exact emotion, whether it be laughter, whether it be anger. That maybe he was the wrong guy traded. We've seen that emotion. And we have already seen moving on. This guy doesn't do anything for him. Yeah, that's up for grabs here as well with the no vote. So I'm sure a lot of people are trying to move on and put the past in the past.
I voted yes. It will stir emotion in me. I will be greatly amused. You kidding me? JT Müller, the captain of the New York Rangers, after not getting along with, well, at least one teammate and having to be jettisoned out of Vancouver? After breaking an NHL team room, JT Miller's going to be your captain?
Well, not to mention the fact that as the captain, of course, you are definitely speaking the most out of any other player in that room.
He wants that, though, in New York. Oh, he absolutely wants that.
Well, yes, he does. He was never afraid to speak to Vancouver media, but it doesn't mean he was necessarily pleased with Vancouver media all the time. So Larry Brooks v. JT Müller, even though it's Brooksy that started this.
That's where this poll question is deriving from. Larry Brooks, the Hall of Fame writer in the New York Post, stumping for the Rangers to name Müller their captain. Of course, Jacob Trouba was traded to Anaheim last year. Zibanejad, Artemi Panarin, and Adam Fox are the holdover alternate captains.
Brooks has a vested interest in this, though. He wants quotes, Matt.
He's more quotable than Panarin, Zibanejad, or Fox.
Yes.
Yeah. Here's what Larry wrote, quote, "The captain's sweater is not just another piece of laundry. It represents the organization's ethos. The Rangers acquired JT Müller to change the team culture. Mm-hmm. The 32-year-old is hard-edged and can be abrasive. That is the identity the Blue Shirts should adopt."
Well,
the other thing here,
you need an identity, and the Rangers didn't really have that last year, so I get that part.
Fair enough. I can see the owner being on board there. You remember he had the terrible reaction to the Washington Capitals beating them up several years ago, and that created a change of culture there, coach and everything like that. Mm-hmm. The other thing I'll say here, as we saw in Vancouver, he's going to want to run the room anyways. Like, he's going to do his utmost to run the room anyways. So really, you can cut to the chase and just empower him with a letter or the letter. Yeah. Does that cut it off at the pass?
Yeah. It saves you from the headline of, is there a leadership battle in the room?
Mm-hmm. Power struggle.
Yeah. You don't have that coming down the pike. And depending.
I mean, the choice here is Fox, is it not? That's a Norris caliber defenseman. He's young enough. He's been there long enough.
I mean, you could have gone with another veteran, though. They've got another, like Trocheck or somebody like that. You could have done that.
Yeah, but he didn't wear an A last year. And Fox is under contract for 3 more years after this. 4 more years he's under contract.
I don't know the character of that.
He's 27 years old. Well, he's their best player.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily the calculus.
No, I hear you, but, I mean, why wouldn't he be?
Yeah. I mean,
he's your best player. He's signed long-term. He's worn an A. Seems the natural progression.
Yeah.
Don't know that team as well, but it seems the natural progression.
You know, there's very good players that don't scream leadership. Like, even though they wore, like Brock Besser, I think he's a great guy in the room, but I don't know that he's the leader guy. Alex Edler in years gone by, like great guy in the room, but I don't think he's a leader guy, even though he wore a letter. So different strokes, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Could have used some bogey juice on my trip.
There's a few, were they?
Particularly after last week's round at Incomeep with their buddy Todd Tweedy. Wasn't even blowing all that hard there. It's usually a windy place.
Yeah. Well, after that round, saddle up for some crispy apple flavoring, kicking ginger, top shelf vodka, a little add of simple syrup, and you got yourself some bogey juice. A fabulous shot or cocktail that you can mix with soda, whatever your heart desires. You've got a new drink this year, especially post-round. Don't let the good golfers celebrate. Celebrate your mediocrity with Bogey Juice. Head to bogeyjuice.com. Check out the fabulous deals there. And yes, there is Bogey Juice product. It shortens up to BJ. There is some fun had in the Bogey Juice store.
Our top story today brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery. Tim Ford at it again. The infamous MLS official from that Whitecaps LAFC playoff match in November 2023 refereed his first Vancouver match since, and his work was once again shambolic. Edier Ocampo shown the red card in the 27th minute, his second yellow of the match, putting the Caps down to 10 men. Then a soft penalty awarded to San Jose in the 54th minute. It's converted, and the Earthquakes go on to a 2-1 win Saturday. This after a Brian White goal, his 100th of his MLS career.
A gorgeous
in
one.
the 88th minute, you thought, here you go. The Caps are going to gangster a point here out of this with 10 men. Well, that goal is answered 4 minutes into
some context
stoppage
on their
time.
PK goal, too, on their penalty goal. He points to the spot. VAR buzzes his ear and says, I think you want to take a look at this. We don't see a penalty here.
That's right.
And it is with rarity that the referee, it does happen, but it's with more rarity that the referee goes to take the look, is hailed to take the look,
Yeah.
and goes, nope,
Standing
I'm still
by
right. I'm still right.
Kevin Kilban on the TSN studio called it a baffling decision. Injured Captain Ryan Gauld, watching from home, posts on social media, quote, "This guy can't be serious," and tags the MLS account. Our buddy Jay Janauer on Global called him, quote, "a garbage official who needs to be trashed." Tell us how you really feel. He has crossed MLS franchises before, not just the Whitecaps. New England coach Caleb Porter last September. Quote, "The referee was a complete coward in that moment, complete coward, and it's a travesty. He shouldn't officiate. He cost our players 2 points today." Jesper Sorensen, the Danish head coach of Vancouver Whitecaps FC, a little newer to all this, a little more diplomatic. On Ocampo's 2 yellows, he said, quote, "It was pretty harsh, but we managed to play a well-structured game after being down to 10 men." You may remember that ex-Caps coach Vanni Sartini got a 5-game suspension from MLS, start of the 2024 season, after some macabre comments about Ford's job in that playoff game against LAFC at BC Place 2 years ago.
Needless to say,
Where-
those comments were floating around social media quite a bit.
Quite a bit this weekend,
Yes.
yeah. And he joked, if Tim Ford is found in False Creek this weekend, I'd be the prime suspect. The Referees Association was not amused. But Ford on that day, not only bad calls, but he actually physically got in the way of a Whitecaps chance and created a chance the other way where
Pick
LAFC's going. Exactly. Served as a pick.
But here's the thing, Matt, is that Major League Soccer or pro referees at least, they too don't like Tim Ford, as is evidenced by his workload.
Yeah, one Whitecaps fan dug up that he has appeared in just seven MLS games
Very
this
low.
season. And in those 7 games has managed to hand out 34 yellow cards and 4 red cards, as well as 3 penalties.
This was his
So
first.
more than half the time he officiates a match, somebody is being red carded. One of the teams is down to 10.
And almost every other game, somebody's going to the spot in that match, which is crazy too. It's a way higher rate than normal. This was his first match against the Whitecaps since that LAFC match, that infamous LAFC match. That too tells the tale. Remember, Stéphane Auger
Yep.
was, deemed not relevant to Vancouver
He-
Canucks games.
Yeah, and then following that season, he did not referee in the NHL again.
And we've sort of seen a similar tale here, except they assigned him to this one.
Yeah.
Now, it's not an LAFC match. His social media is controversial.
Let's get
as well.
into that here. So Whitecaps fans did a bunch of digging about Tim Ford over the weekend, and they found posts from his wife of their family at LAFC games with the kids in kits, and called BMO Stadium, quote, his happy place, referring to her husband.
Tim's happy place. Yeah.
We're not going to post those visuals because his kids are underage and photographed. And look, his family's allegiance isn't at issue here, nor is his attendance at games as a dad. Like, he is more than within his right to take his kids to the soccer match. And if they want to cheer for LAFC and wear kits and all of that is fair.
But I wouldn't post about it.
Well,
I wouldn't
this way.
That's Dad's livelihood.
I sure hope he's not cheering, and I sure hope he's not out there wearing MLS team gear in public. Like, it's disqualifying. You've got to be an arbiter, a neutral arbiter, if you're going to be an MLS match official.
This happens all the time with ex-players, legends from other teams that go into the broadcast booth. But their kids are kids too, and they have favorite teams that may be different than dad's alma maters. What do? You don't post it on social media. It's a bad look. It's really simple. Put the phone away.
Yeah, he's got to tell his wife, look, enough.
It looks really, really bad.
It looks terrible.
And there is precedent in Major League Soccer where a referee was spotted himself in a kit, and that's a little different, obviously, but it's only 1 degree over, and was suspended and I think maybe even expelled from the league. So
if you're wearing club gear, that is a signal of support.
Yeah.
Can't be. Just can't be at that level.
But I don't know how Pro Ref now looks at his stats, looks at these big flare-up incidents and says, this is the way we want our league managed. And again, his usage already tells you they aren't wild about this guy.
Right. So the defeat leaves Vancouver now 4 points back of San Diego for top spot in the MLS West. So no longer functionally in first place, even with their game in hand on San Diego. They remain in second place ahead of Minnesota by 1 point, because the Loons, as they're called, fell to Colorado at home yesterday. Vancouver plays Forge FC tomorrow in the first leg of the Canadian Championship semifinal. That's in Hamilton. Ali Ahmed was back on the pitch training today. That's great news. Kenji Cabrera, the Peruvian import, his first training session. And Jesper Sorensen is expecting Ryan Gauld back in a month, although we have heard that earlier this year.
The good news is the Whitecaps have a ton of home matches coming,
including Sunday.
Yeah.
Where they host the Houston Dynamo, 6 p.m. at BC Place. And that's where we're anticipating the debut of German superstar Thomas Müller. Read a good story from the Athletics' Joshua Cloak on Muller's recruitment. He apparently didn't want to be a marketing tool for FC Cincinnati and the big German population in that town. So I see that both ways. Number one, doesn't just want to be a marketing tool. That's fine. But also, Caps are going to want him to market some. Caps have also swung a trade for an international slot with New England in exchange for $50,000 of general allocation money. I saw Joshua Ray of the Terminal City podcast saying he's expecting 2 moves now with 2 open international slots. So
left back, center back. Yeah.
And maybe Müller is already a recruitment tool here, Blake.
Potentially.
Where you got players around the world going, well, if that club's good enough for Thomas Müller, that club's good enough for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And they could also just look at other recent transferees that have, immediately enjoyed success, like Laborda, like Ocampo as well. They say, hey, we go there, we get playing time, and those 2 positions, you're going to get playing time right now. Those are positions of need. So we'll see. They'll want to make these moves pretty quickly so that they are integrated into the team for the playoff push and the playoffs themselves. But it should be a lot of fun.
So very little chance Müller heads to Hamilton for this Canadian series game. But Sunday against Houston at BC Place, and then a week from Saturday, twice in 6 days.
Muller's arriving in Vancouver on Wednesday, it's expected.
Vancouver
and trains on Thursday
versus St. Louis on August 23rd at BC Place. That's a 6:30 start, 6 o'clock this Sunday against Houston.
Son and Müller were both announced on the same day. Son
has already played.
He's debuted off the bench as expected for LAFC. So I would expect something similar that probably Müller plays on the weekend, but very much in a substitution role.
What is the effect of Thomas Müller? I was at Kits Fest yesterday down at Kits Beach. Shout out to Howard Kelsey, Ron Putzi, and Hannah from Danny and the great team there that puts on a wonderful festival each and every August. Some extremely high-level basketball, volleyball played there. We really enjoyed ourselves. Met a friend, English, would probably identify as an English soccer snob. Has been to a couple of Whitecaps games in the past, but he's one of these, mate, level isn't there, blah, 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 all that stuff. Sees me yesterday, he goes, are you going to the Whitecaps game next week? I go, are you? He goes, damn right, Thomas Müller's there. It's like, I got no affinity for Germany or Bayern, but Thomas Müller's in my town? Yeah, I want to go to the game.
Yeah, that's a great example.
You're going to see him rope in a lot of not only the casuals who maybe aren't most familiar with the beautiful game, but also the other end of the spectrum, the European soccer snobs who haven't wanted to give MLS and its member clubs its due.
And he plays the kind of...
I think you're going to see both of those constituencies wanting to come and see Thomas Müller.
And he plays the kind of role and not that Ibra didn't entertain, he absolutely did. But even if you had a player of that ilk, not Ibra himself, but somebody that played that position, like just a full-on 9, well, 9s need to be involved. They need to be given service. They can't necessarily win games in and of themselves. You bring in a player like this, the interpreter of space, the space interpreter, as he's known in German. He's going to be involved. Like Thomas Müller will touch the ball.
Yes.
So it's you don't have to wonder. The Caps need to do X, Y, Z to get him involved. He's going to be involved.
It's extremely exciting from a Whitecaps perspective, from an MLS perspective, because this season was going splendidly to begin with. Yeah, they've had some setbacks, including losing Ryan Gauld early in the year for most of the year.
Crazy.
But 4 All-Stars, it was the most of any MLS team. And yeah, you lose Vite, but you come back with Cabrera. And oh, by the way, an even bigger shoe is dropping. And again, as Josh Ray and others who follow the Caps, they don't think they're done here yet in reinforcing this team and making it the best it can be for the postseason. And yeah, I mean, the way things are going here, you're looking at a club that should have home pitch advantage.
And if they can get to full health, and there was some word from the club in the last handful of days that it's looking like within 4 weeks for Ryan Gauld, dare to dream. If they can get to full health, this is a spectacular team.
Had my first experience at the Yellow Dog location Penticton. As you may be aware, they have their tasting room on Murray Street in Port Moody, but they've opened a second Yellow Dog location downtown Penticton. They've had the dog park patio open for a couple of years, but they opened the inside space this winter, Blake. It was my first opportunity to visit, and shout out to Mike and John and Gil and Laura and Damon and everyone at Yellow Dog who took great care of us this past week in Penticton. Boy, it is going to be the spot to watch football on Sundays, to watch the big Vancouver hockey games in Penticton. The TV setup there at Yellow Dog is extraordinary. The food is terrific as well. And, of course, the beer is top-notch. So enjoyed my time in Penticton at Neighborhood and at Yellow Dog.
Well, you'll like to know that the Rescue Lager, of which we have a fridge full right beside me here, the Yellow Dog Rescue Lager 15 packs, because in summer you need volume. 15 packs on special for the month of August. Look for it on sale at private and government liquor stores.
And shout out to Scotty and Dave, the OG clients there at Neighborhood, and Yellow Dog. Spent some time with them as well. Were you here last week for Elias's comments?
I was not.
Okay.
No.
He's
big.
vowing revenge, and it's not a perfect translation to the English word, but basically that he feels like he has a score to settle this year.
More an avenge.
Yeah.
He's going to avenge
there
you.
you go.
Yeah.
Look, I love to hear it from Elias. I love to hear he's not prone to any kind of statements, so that was different. He's not prone to acknowledging past failures, so I thought that was constructive as well. And look, a motivated Elias Pettersson is what they need. I think we all last year watched at times a guy who would slink, who would sulk, the sort of body language that talked about. Can't have any of that this year. Want a fully engaged, motivated Elias Pettersson, so I think he's on the right start there. And I also like the fact that he wants to stick it to his critics, right? Stick it to all of those who said overrated, isn't going to get back to being the player that he once was. So
I also like the fact
I
that
was
he's
really encouraged by hearing that from Elias.
I like the fact that he's doing media. Like this is now his second sit down.
Exactly.
This is his second summer sit down. He is not hiding. Woe is me, like, don't bother me. I don't want to face the music. He's talking about last season. He's joking about it. Who is he sitting down with? The other Swede that he was sitting down with a month ago?
Was it Uffe?
No. I mean, the other Swedish player he was sitting down with.
Oh, was it Kempe?
I forget. Somebody, a fellow countryman, anyhow. Having a laugh.
No, it was a younger player.
Yeah, it was a longer play. It was Lagerson?
No, I'll find it. Go ahead.
Anyhow, the fact that he's willing to look last year in the eye, and he says he's not dwelling on it. He said, I haven't really thought about it too much. He just knows that he wants to be better. And those are all the right things. I mean, there's only so much that can be gleaned in the middle of August by a guy's offseason approach. But right now, within the bounds of his personality, of what you could possibly expect. Like, you're not going to get hellfire and brimstone and loud declarations from Elias Pettersson. This is about as pronounced and as open an offseason as you're going to get out of Elias Pettersson. So based on the available hints and cookie crumbs, I think Canucks fans have to be pretty excited. It's the best you're going to get here.
Leo Carlson was the other Swede that he sat down with, the Anaheim Ducks forward. And then there's Vitali Kravtsov. Were you here for that?
I was not either.
Okay.
No.
So when I first saw this news on Kravtsov, I went, okay, well, it stands to reason. They retained his NHL rights even after he went back to the KHL for the last couple of years. I wasn't too terribly excited about it. We had mused about it in April or May whenever the topic first came up. Okay, fine, fair enough. Vitali Kravtsov is coming back. But the more I thought about it, it's not even low risk, it's no risk. It's a salary you can fully bury in them. It's a two-way deal.
100%. Yeah, he's going to be a well-paid AHLer if he's in the AHLer, but
who cares? It's not your money.
Not your money.
Francesco's money.
Yeah. And the NHL management doesn't care either.
No. He's still just 25.
Yep.
Doesn't turn 26 until Christmas. That was an exceptional season in the KHL with Chelyabinsk Traktor. 58 points, 27 goals in 66 games.
Just a handful of players were better, I think, in the league.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is we have seen guys come over from the KHL and make an impact. Panarin's one. Kuzmenko.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love it. I mean, there's nothing at stake here that can hurt the Canucks. So it's like a found wallet. And if as the old Brian Burke line, and if it works out, great. And if not, you'll have a highly paid AHLer who will probably want to go back to Russia thereafter, but you got your look after watching the best he has looked in professional hockey these last 2 years in the KHL.
See, guys like Panarin and Kuzmenko were bigger risks at the time, while still free acquisitions for the acquiring teams. For Panarin, it was Chicago at the time. Kuzmenko, obviously, it was the Canucks. Bigger risks because those players had never set foot on North American soil before. They were Russian trained through and through, rose through the ranks there, and decided, hey, things are going really good here. Maybe now is my time to see if I can make it in the NHL. For the acquiring team and for the fan bases of those cities, it was interesting. It was optimism, but you didn't know because the player didn't know what he was necessarily getting himself into. I'll say this, and I'm not really, I followed him zero. I have no recollection of his time with the Canucks really at all. So this is not a prediction, but I will say this. This is what gives me hope on behalf of Canucks fans.
It was 16 games and 2 points, 1 goal.
He knows what he's getting himself into.
Mm-hmm.
He knows why he spent the last couple of years in the KHL too, which is a huge boost. And he knows he'll head right back there soon if things don't work out this season.
Good on him wanting to challenge himself again.
That's right.
In the National Hockey
And
League.
so, there's a lot of players in Europe. And for instance, at the Spengler Cup this year, I was calling games. Martin Kaut, former Shark and Avalanche. Best player skill-wise in the entire tournament. It was so clear. He was a man amongst boys out there on the ice. But his give-a-shit meter was in the negatives. But there was jaw-dropping moments, but you could tell that wasn't going to translate. You could not take Martin Kaut out of the Spengler Cup and drop him into an NHL training camp because I saw the habits. I saw what he was doing. I thought, there's no way that flies in an NHL training camp. No chance. But Vitali Kravtsov is coming over and knows exactly what an NHL training camp looks like.
Oh, yeah.
He's heard the lectures from his NHL coaches before about what he hasn't done, yada, yada, yada. Again, this is not a prediction, folks, but I'm saying if you're going to have a dark horse to make an impact on the Vancouver Canucks, he's a good candidate because the skill is there and he knows exactly what he needs to do. Can he do it? We'll see. But it's an intriguing and, as you said, absolutely zero risk transaction for them.
His 27 goals last year were 9th in the KHL. His 58 points were tied for 6th. Ex-Vancouver Canuck Josh Levo leading in both categories. He had 49 goals last year in the K.
Sorry, Josh Levo?
Josh Levo had 49 goals in the K and 80 points. He was the runaway winner of both the scoring championship and the
points, though.
The goals.
Yeah, okay.
Rock and Richard equivalent.
Wow.
Yes. The other thing I saw, Adam Kiersonblad of the Hockey News noted this as well, is this is a guy who grew up in the Rangers organization alongside Filipino.
Yep.
They were both first-round draft picks of the New York Rangers. Kravtsov, the 9th selection in the 2018 draft, and Hedl was a first-round pick as well. And both of them were a little bit sort of, seemed like they were overdrafted a little bit. Maybe weren't quite expected to go as high as they were. Hedl went later than Kravtsov. But they actually did spend some time together in the National Hockey League in the 22-23 season. They played.
And in the AHL, too.
Yeah, 68 minutes together. And as Kiersonblad notes, they outscored the opposition 5-1 in those minutes, and they played for the AHL affiliate Hartford Wolfpack of the New York Rangers as well in 2019-2020. So there you go. You got the added cookie here that maybe there's a guy with the Canucks that he already has a little bit of chemistry with. He's another winger option for them, of course. And now that's become, some would argue that was a crowded place to begin with, and it's only gotten more crowded. So what's the opportunity going to be like for guys like Arshdeep Bains and Max Sasson and Jonathan Lekromacki and some of the Linus Karlsson and some of the younger Canucks forwards? As we have talked about during the summer, there are some of them that you absolutely want to keep away from waivers. And so we'll see how they go about carving up the opening night roster and then line up with an eye towards guys you want to keep in the organization and make sure you don't lose on the waivers. Lecter Mackey can be sent right down, so I think that probably works against him. Linus Karlsson, Vitali Kravtsov, Max Sasson can too, but Linus Karlsson, Vitali Kravtsov, Steve Baines do require waivers, so it's a little different there.
And remember, the Canucks did give up assets. This was a trade acquisition, Kravtsov. Now, it was for Lockwood and a pick. Unlikely that comes back to bite them. But, in terms of cheering him on if you're a Canuck fan, this was an acquisition. Free agents you can sort of give or take. You generally don't attach a ton of emotion to. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But, this was a conscious move to give up on another prospect, give up on a pick to acquire the player. You want it to work out?
Indeed you do.
What player? Who'd they trade? Oh, did I just say it? I think I might have just said
Lockwood.
Ah, damn. I'll just stump you. Would you have gotten it?
No. Not a chance. Nice story on Nils Höglander. He's spending $8,600 of his own money to open his hometown's ice rink in Sweden. Do you see this? How charming is this? So it's going to open a month early because Nils is digging in.
Good.
He's going to skate there in the morning. Then it's free for public use the rest of the day. Good on you. And look, big year for the feisty winger, right? Because he needs a bounce back almost as much as his countryman does. Liked Höglander's game a little bit more towards the end of the season, but still well off the pace of the previous year's goals total. Got to get back to 20 or the mid-20s even, as opposed to 6 or 7. And also a guy, where does he slot in? Where are you lining up Höglander? After the acquisition of Evander Kane, is he a third liner? Is he a second liner? Is he going to have to beat guys out to play amongst the 8 wingers? Because it's really been a series of peaks and valleys for Nils Höglander over his Canucks career. You have to think they are hoping that he comes in the best shape ever and ready to launch from the get-go because they need goals. And his diminishment last year was a big part of the Canucks story in terms of not being able to generate the offense to win enough games.
First off, before I follow through with my original point, Michael in the chat, I remember Kravtsov and Podkolzin playing on the same line and working really hard at producing nothing. That would have been...
they got some cardio in. It's not nothing.
But what was their plus minus? That was the thing. I think I'm going to hold back the statement preseason should be really fun on the wings until I know what's happening at the second line center position. Here's the problem with saying it now is without knowing who the second line center is going to be at preseason, Matt, it's going to be hard to show well. Like, all due respect to Filipino, I don't know that a winger goes into a second line winger or a prospective second line winger goes into a preseason game with Filip Hila as his center. This is my opportunity to show well. There's going to be one center that is going to help you look good, and that is Elias Pettersson. If you're not on that line, as it currently stands, it's going to be hard to have your big impact preseason game to either A, make the team, or B, move your way up the ladder and jump over some incumbents. So we'll see again who that second line center ends up being. But right now, you're vying for time with Elias Pettersson, or you're looking for a bit of a miracle, a bit of a needle in the haystack on any given night in the preseason.
And then lastly, a story coming out of Edmonton with a Canucks tie-in. Paul Coffey, Hockey Hall of Fame defenseman, no longer an Oilers assistant coach. He was moved back into an advisory role for ownership where he has been serving owner Daryl Cates for a number of years in that organization. That was announced last month. He took care of the defenseman last year. The Two Mutts podcasts, who have hit on some intel in the past, saying they heard Coffey wasn't at all happy with management's decision to trade Evander Kane to the Canucks. That Coffey explained he thought Kane was the sort of player to keep and re-sign because how deep his connection was with the community and his connection with his teammates and his team staff, and the team staff also being very strong. That Evander was apparently living in Edmonton year-round, or may still be. I was surprised to learn that. I thought Evander came back to Vancouver for the summers. I certainly remember him at the Mojus tournament and other events around town. Anyways, Tumut saying that, I mean, the crux of this report, the connections he was forming with teammates and team staff bodes very, very well for his integration into the Canucks dressing room. Not to mention, so does the endorsement, if you will, of Paul Coffey.
I don't know how this season's going to turn out for Evander Kane, and I certainly wouldn't have pulled off the deal as it was with the full freight, obviously. But it has happened, so now we're forced to evaluate what this player can do for this team, and I'll say that I do believe him to be a proud Vancouverite. You can have your judgments of him as a person, but I do think he loves this city. I think he loves to tell people he's from Vancouver, and I don't think he wants to flame out in his chance to be a Vancouver Canuck late in his career. You know, we talked about the motivations for an Elias Pettersson. There's a lot of motivation for Evander Kane. So I'm intrigued at the very least, and clearly or potentially the Oilers management or the Oilers ownership at the very least thought there was a loss there.
Yeah. Yeah, because you do wonder when you hear Coffey.
Is he speaking for Case?
That's right. Is that one where the owner and Paul Coffey were like, oh, we're getting rid of that guy? Really?
And that's not one of those transactions where I think you call ownership and say, do you mind if we trade this 35-year-old guy making $5 million?
Yeah, exactly. If you don't have the right in and of yourself as a general manager to make a trade, sending out $5 million of salary.
For nothing, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So I
then you're a GM in title only.
Yes, yeah.
Let's get to today's menu. It's brought to you by Greta. A fantastic spot to watch all the big games, to pregame or postgame. You were mere steps from the arena and the stadium. It's also a fantastic spot for your upcoming party or event. You need a venue for a team-building exercise, a summer sociable, a family reunion. Check out Greta. It's got the outstanding street food menu. The smash burger is delicious. And then there's the arcade that encircles the bar. Game for everyone, whether you're into the classic video games, the more modern ones, or the activities like Pop-A-Shot and air hockey. For more info, to book your event, go to gretabar.com, Greta 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. We're going to talk to Cam Robinson of Elite Prospects here on Elias's comments, on the acquisition of Vitali Kravtsov, on finding chemistry, plus some rumblings out of Boston about available centermen there. We will get everything from Cam on that side of things, and then we'll talk to our old friend Sean Whyte. BC Lions kicker had the game-winning field goal Thursday in Hamilton in what was a terrific football game between the Lions and the Tabbies, one of several on the CFL schedule this year. We'll get into all of that, plus later in the program, the baseball, where the M's are on a heater, and the Blue Jays salvage something out of Los Angeles, not to mention a whole bunch of roster moves happening up and down the Blue Jays system that affect the Vancouver Canadians. We'll get into all of that over the course of the program. But it's time now for our Bet365 bets of the day. I'm guessing you don't remember your
it was
bet
a week
from
ago.
last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Do you know the new English Premier League season starts Friday? They go August to May, so here we are, mid-August. Let's have at her. And this season marks the return of Sunderland AFC. And if you've only been following English soccer for the last year, Sunderland, who is that? Well, they were once the thing. They fell on very hard times. It was chronicled in the fantastic Netflix reality series Sunderland Till I Die. They drifted down a couple of tiers of English football, but now they're back, and the Stadium of Light should be rocking on Saturday for the home and season opener. As, of course, like a lot of clubs who are just getting promoted, they are underdogs. So I'm going to take them plus 220 over West Ham on the emotion of that Northeast England city getting back to EPL football on Saturday.
Speaking of emotion, a ton of it in both cities ultimately, if you watch the announcement in Toronto of what happened in Montreal, but a fabulous Canadian Open for the women's side as Victoria Mboko wins the National Bank Open in Montreal. I'll turn my attention to the men, though, this week. And the guy that went the farthest in Toronto was Gabriel Diallo, except his second-round match in Cincinnati is against Yannick Sinner. So the good news is you don't have to bet on just a win.
No.
You can bet on a set. Can he get a set? Can he lose 2-1?
I would not be betting on the win. So
if he can lose 2-1,
that's doing something.
Plus 450 for a Yannick Sinner 2-1 victory over Gabriel Diallo.
This segment, a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION when doing so. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Cam Robinson coming up next. Garrison Price from the historic Wall Center. I got to say, coming back from vacation, Blake, I am so excited to get out to the Redwoods golf course and play a round or two. Of course, we've already been out there working with their pro, Craig.
Working on our games.
And God knows we needed it. Get Golf Ready is the Redwoods adult group golf lesson for beginner golfers. Hey, we understand it can be an intimidating game. Everyone out at the Redwoods is going to teach you and show you the basics of this game in a relaxed, no-pressure environment. 4 one-hour lessons for over 4 weeks for $160. The next class starts August 14th, so you want to get on that. Private, semi-private adult lessons are also available, and they're flexible to your schedule. Group lesson info, go to redwoods-golf.com/instruction. They have an incredible teaching facility there, just a range that goes on for days and days. Beautiful practice green as well. Looking forward to continuing our partnership relationship here with the Redwoods Golf Course, and of course, get more tips from Craig.
It had disappeared for a while with the pipeline construction, but it is back and roaring. It's so easy to get to. If you've forgotten right off the highway, we'll see you at the Redwoods.
Here's Cam Robinson, the Director of Content and Film Scouting for Elite Prospects, who joins us from the rink where he is underdressed. Of all the people to not show up to the rink, like he's in more rinks than anybody I know, and he makes the classic mistake on August 11th to wear a T-shirt to the rink.
Not in mid-season form, but maybe Redwood should bring me out because I chipped in for birdie on 9 last night. So I'm flying, boys. I'm flying. I'm feeling
maybe
great.
You should teach the chipping lesson now, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Tell us everything you did, Cam. Like, walk us through this. No.
Yeah, I hit it well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got lucky.
Yes. Yeah.
Buddy, I know you saw, as we did, the talk at New York and Larry Brooks of the New York Post, that JT Müller could be a candidate to be New York Rangers captain. We're asking on our Bogey Juice poll question if that stirs any emotions for you, if you have a reaction to JT Müller as potentially a captain of the Rangers.
I mean, it's not surprising. He is a leader. He is, without question, a leader. It's just he is a specific brand of leader. And those guys have their roles and they have their places. And in some teams and in some dressing rooms, that hard line, that really emotional, physical leader, that sometimes can work, and that can sometimes, bring the best out of some players. I work with a coach who reminds me of JT a little bit too, and he is loud and he is vocal and he is hard on guys. Some kids absolutely love it. Some kids just, crater underneath it too. So if that Rangers dressing room is someone, is a group that needs that kind of motivation, I think you could go with a worse player. But he's a good player and he's a motivator. And so it wouldn't shock me if that was the guy. It might be a little surprising just because of how short he's been on the team, but he's got the length of contract that he's going to be around for a while. So it's not the craziest thing.
It's not unlike going with a blustery coach, right? It's a conscious decision. You have to know the group of players that you've got and roll the dice that it'll work with that particular group. And sometimes it does. I'm amazed that John Tortorella has continued to coach as late as he has in this league.
Yeah, usually a short lifespan on those types of coaches.
Yeah. And
so you would imagine it's going to be a bit of a shorter lifespan on that type of leader in a dressing room as well. So maybe after year 3, 4, 5, maybe the kick in the pants doesn't really elicit the response that you want anymore.
And maybe you go with you do a salt and pepper situation where you've got, he might be the captain. You have a softer guy as the lead assistant and good cop, bad cop, if you will.
For sure.
And then there's the other theory, as I talked about in the opening of the program. He's just going to want to run the room anyways, so you can probably save yourself from heartache by putting a letter on and adorning that, because it's going to happen whether he's wearing a letter or not.
Leaders are going to lead.
Let's move on to the Vancouver Canucks. Now, look, for those who speak fluent Swedish, they would tell you it is not a word that is a literal translation to revenge or convey exactly that sentiment, that emotion so strongly. But he's talking about bouncing back. He's talking about shoving it up everybody and all his critics from last year. What did you make of Elias's comments last week?
I do not speak fluent Swedish, but revenge is what I took from that. And it's the Elias Pettersson revenge tour, right? He's calling it right now. He's saying the right things. The fact that he said he's also put on some muscle, you love to hear that, right? For a guy who's it's been a long build to try to fill out that frame. So the fact that he's gone back and he's obviously working very hard, it's tough to put on muscle, especially with a body frame like his. So he's obviously working hard. He's got the right mindset. He's saying the right things. And now it's about doing it, right? He's got to come back. We're going to see right away at training camp, like how good a shape are you in? How strong, how fast are you looking dialed in? And that's when we're going to kind of get that first little bench knock and then move on from there.
Have you heard anything further on his training there, Cam? Because I know you had some info earlier in the summer on that.
Yeah, he stuck with the same group. He was with the same group there in Stockholm. That was what I heard in June when he went back, or early July there, that he was working with the same group. And it's maybe it'll work for him this year. Maybe I don't know if they switched up what they're doing with him. I have no idea exactly what they're working with. But it is with the same group in Stockholm. Yes.
Do you recall a stretch where he has appeared to be determined, to be intense? Is that in Elias Pettersson, do you think?
I think so. Absolutely. I think we saw stretches of it in most of his first few years in the league, I would say, even when he was putting up those 60-point seasons or whatever, right? That we saw. The one that really kind of jumps out to me is, do you remember that play several years ago now where he came out of the penalty box and he just went flying back, picked up the puck, went wide, beat the guy wide, went to the net and scored that goal falling down? That whole mentality was like he was mad that he got the penalty and he's like, here's what I'm going to do about it. And so you can see that intensity in him, right? Or coming back and blowing a guy up with a big body check. Like, we've seen him do those things before. And we've seen him do it consistently, like game over game, week over week. It's just maybe not for like an entirety of a month or the entirety of the season. But I do think he has that in him. And I think that just like, we talked about JT being that, that really emotional leader, is that, I think that sometimes it takes players a little while to find some of that fire in them too. He's never going to be a JT Miller-like player with that intensity, but I do think that he can grow into it a little bit more and find find that switch a little more often.
Which wingers do you like playing with Pettersson on this team now, Cam? Of course, Besser's back, surprisingly. DeBrusk was always there, was supposed to be a solution. We added Vander Kane to the mix, and Connor Garland took such a big step last year, or moved his way up the lineup last year. What wingers do you like with Pettersson going forward?
Yeah, it's as usual. I'm sure we'll see a rotating cast. DeBrusk was sold on the fact that he was going to get to play with Pettersson. That was part of the sell job to get him to sign there, and so I think that they will continue to give him looks there. I've always liked the connection that him and Besser have together. I know it hasn't worked all of the time, but I do think that they mesh well together. But I am interested to see if they give Evander Kane a look there, because that's going to bring that little bit more physicality, right? He has speed. He has a good shot. Just a different look than what they've had previously with Pettersson. So I'm sure they're going to give that a try too, to see if he can muck it up a little bit and do the dirty work and allow Pettersson to find soft areas a little bit more. And so, I'd be open to having a rotating cast of those three. Garland, he has that fire as well a little bit too. He's a digger. He gets that net front. He chokes up on his stick really high. So I think they definitely have some options. And what you're going to want to do is that you're going to try some things at camp. You're going to try some things early in the season, and you're going to hope that at least one of those guys clicks. And I'm a big proponent of a center and a winger pair, and you basically lock those guys at the hip unless something happens. And so one of those guys, and I would guess DeBrusk probably has the inside lane on that at this point, but one of those guys is going to get locked with Pettersson for the long haul.
Four pretty clear wingers, but the combinations we'll find out. Two of them will be with Elias Pettersson, and two of them will be with whom? We are still awaiting for clarity on that as we get into now this second week of August. Does that surprise you here, or do you suspect that this is going to still take weeks before we do get any clarity here?
I would imagine it's still a ways away. Maybe Jack Roslovic signs this afternoon, and I'm completely out to lunch on that if it is Vancouver. But I do think, at this point, you have to assume that they are going in, it's hoping and praying that Phil Pedal can be a second line center for them. He can be healthy and that he can take a step forward, and that is a big hope if that is what they're going for. But I think we're looking, especially with you see some of these RFAs that haven't signed yet, the pinch point now becomes camp. People are coming back from the cottages at this point. People are getting back to work. Holinka's starting up today. So everything's going to start moving and flowing a little bit now. But I do think that we're going to look at training camp as the next kind of pinch point for those guys to sign, maybe Roslovic to sign. Maybe we start to see some trades start to sprinkle in too at the end of August, early September. So there is potential for them to get some further clarity in the next 4 to 6 weeks, which I'm sure they want to do. But at the end of the day, they might just have to sit on that cap space and hope that Phil Pedal can do the job.
Do you think the longer this goes, the more likely it is with Rossi and McTavish they return to their organizations? Or do you think the longer this goes, the more likely it is we'll see a trade?
With McTavish, I've always felt he was going to stay in Anaheim. I did, and I still do. I think what the issue with them is that he would like a nice, big, fat, long-term deal that pays him out, and I think Anaheim would like to bridge him. And what we'll probably see is, well, maybe Verbeek wins because that guy, he manages like he played. But, maybe it's like a Byfield type of deal. Maybe they meet in the middle and it's like a 5-year deal and he's getting paid 6.5 or something like that. But I think that gets done. Rossi's more interesting. I checked around, the last couple of days and basically nothing has changed. I was told a while ago that they hadn't even really talked contract since early June. Again, like I mentioned, training camp will be kind of where the rubber meets the road there. It's like, are you going to come back and play for us at the number we want, or are you going to sit out? And I think that's maybe the direction it is going in. I'm sure Rossi wants to play. I'm sure Minnesota wants to get a return for him. And if they don't, they want him at the number that they like. So that one's going to be more interesting. I think there's more potential that he still gets dealt.
There's reporting out of Boston around Casey Middlestad and Pavel Zacha. How big, if any, an upgrade would securing one of those guys be to the Canucks second line center?
Yeah, that would both would represent upgrades. I would feel. I like Middlestat. I think that they bring different qualities to their game, but I think Middlestat has a little bit higher pure offensive skill. Zach is the bigger body and kind of can bang a little bit more, but does he has a couple of decent seasons under his belt too. Price to acquire, it's not going to be cheap for either of those players, I don't think. Boston's probably going to be a little more open to moving out right now. I think they're in a transitional phase, but yes, I think Vancouver, I'm sure, would be calling on both those players.
Go ahead.
What is your intelligence on Vitali Kravtsov's signing with the Vancouver Canucks? He played, and I remember 0 of them, 16 games in 22-23. Literally, I don't know what I was doing during those months, but I was not watching Vitali Kravtsov. But he had unmitigated success the last couple of years in the KHL. We're talking Andrei Kuzmenko kind of numbers, which I'm just trying to make that comparison because people were very optimistic about Kuzmenko's arrival here, that, hey, I think it'll translate. But I don't feel like I'm feeling that same sort of optimism around Kravtsov. Is that fair to him? What do you make of it all?
I think that it is a excellent low risk move, especially to bring him in, on a 2-way deal. Yeah, he's getting a good, good chunk of change there in the American League if that's where he ends up, but that's just fine. He took steps, and I talked to some people that scout and watch, the KHL a lot more than I did the last year, and he was good. Yeah, I was told that he was very good. The big thing on him is that it's been a work rate issue, right? He hasn't always given everything that coaches felt he could give, and that's frustrating. And so, from reports is that he's found another level. Now, can he find another level here in North America? That's the big question. But I think you bring him into camp and you have him there, and it's him or Lekiramacky. Both aren't making this team, and I would say that he probably has a better chance of making it than Lekiramacky does at this point. But if he doesn't, now he's in the American League, and you've got yourself a good top of the lineup player to bring up and down and be a quad A for you. And who knows? Remember Valeri Nichushkin? He went back, right? He struggled mightily in the NHL. He went back to the K. He did well. He came back, and he's a real player. Not to say that Kravtsov is going to be Nichushkin, but we have seen that path happen before. And so super low risk, maybe you get yourself a top 9 winger out of it.
Well, what I was saying with regards to Kuzmenko, the difference being here is that he does know what's expected of him. Like Kuzmenko was coming across, and having never played in North America, we didn't know if he would, we suspected that he would have trouble with the details, and he did. Yeah. Kravtsov knows that everybody's thinking that about him. He's coming back with eyes wide open, you would hope.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's a leg up. He knows what to expect. He knows what to expect from coaching staffs over here. He knows what the style of play is, the pace of play. So you're right. He should be better suited to transition than a player like Kuzmenko was, who was older, I believe, at the time when he crossed as well too. So still not a relatively young player still too. So I do like that they brought him back over to give him another kick at the can.
Can he? It's nearly a point per game in the K. What can you tell me about K's stats translating to NHL? And do you see him as a scorer? What is his profile? What is his role in the NHL if he's everything he can be?
He's a dual threat offensive player. He can score and he can pass, and he has a good head on his shoulders offensively. I think he can be a very complimentary player on one of your top 3 lines if he has the speed and he has the tenacity to get to the places you need to get to, and the responsibility to not be a complete liability in his own zone. And those are big things to ask of a player, but I do think offensively he can play at a level high enough to, to score 20 goals and to maybe put up 45, 50 points, something like that. I do think that that's a realistic thing that he could do. It's just, can he fill in those other gaps enough to see the minutes needed to get those points?
Yeah. Lastly here, Cam, we did an item in the opening block. Paul Coffey wasn't very happy about losing Evander Kane, thought he was a type of profile player the Oilers needed. Everybody looks at that team and says, no, the profile you need is a starting legitimate number 1 NHL goalie. You've heard some rumblings on the Oilers goaltender search.
I do think that they're looking in now. They're not looking for they might be, but not that I've heard. That they're looking a little more long term. They've got their field of vision a little bit wider here. I was told that they've contacted Detroit. I believe the first person they asked about was Trey Augustine, and I think that was just a non-starter. Is that Steve Yzerman and company really, really love that kid, and as they should. But they have a 6'6", 6'7" former first rounder in Sebastian Cossa sitting there, who's slowly been progressing up the way. Played a full season in the Coast, in the East Coast League. There, I think he put up a 9.11 in the American League. They're not soured on him by any means, but I think maybe they're hoping that he'd be quicker along the path. And the fact that they have Augustine there in the Red Wing system allows him to potentially be an expendable chip. Now, there's no pinch point for Detroit, though. They don't have to move this guy. He's still young. They have his rights for years yet. But if Edmonton does want to get themselves someone that they can tag as here's our goalie of the future that maybe is only a year, 2 years away, he'd be a great bet to go on. First round picks get a lot more opportunities than most, but he could still be a very good player.
He's the 15th overall pick in 2021. He played for the Edmonton Oil Kings. He did. Even played some junior hockey up in Fort Mac, Alberta. And you're right, Augustine, of course, you might remember that name from former U.S. World Junior teams, the couple of nice goaltending prospects there in Detroit. And, of course, as everyone has talked about all summer, the Yzer plan needs to be kicked into gear here there. In the Motor City, people getting a little impatient, and rightfully so. Awesome stuff, Cam. Warm up there at the rink. We'll catch up next week, buddy. Thanks for this.
Cheers. Thanks, boys.
So Carson Price from the historic Wall Center.
So many options to keep you quenched and satisfied, but none do it quite like Simply Spiked during a hot summer's day. Boy, do we have a couple of those here early this week.
Did we ever?
Reach for the Simply Spiked. Comes in 3 different flavor variety packs. That's right, 3 different flavors. We're going to do some math here, folks. There's 3 different flavors within the 3 variety packs that are in and of themselves different.
The Spiked Lemonade, it's the OG Summer Classic.
The Limeade.
Then the Spiked Limeade, the Simply Spiked Limeade, the newest flavor in the lineup, sweet, tart. I've quite enjoyed those.
And then 3 peach varietals. 3 to the power of 3. It's 9 different flavors of Simply Spiked made with real juice, 5% ABV. Available in your private and your government liquor stores for your next hangout. Make it a Simply Spiked hangout.
Great when you're watching a football game on a late afternoon with the sun out, right? And what a football game.
And if you get bonus football, even better.
It was on Thursday from the Hammer, where the British Columbia Lions win 41-38 in overtime. Just a classic CFL game with a classic finish. Authored by our next guest, BC Lions kicker, the pride of White Rock, Mr. Sean Whyte.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Yeah, it's time for our annual catch-up here after you kick another game winner.
You could have made that one, I think.
Wow. We knew this day was coming because that's now 9 in your Lions career.
Oh, wow.
Sean.
Nice. Pretty good.
You didn't know that? Because you're normally up on the state.
It's usually what? Sorry?
Well, normally you're up on the stats.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not a stats guy. I can't read those things. I'm too competitive to get my own head. So I just try to go 100% every day. That's all I try to do. If I'm not, then don't ask me for a week.
All right. So what's it like when you're the hero and you get a 5-hour flight home, 4-hour flight home? That must be a good plane trip, Whitey.
Well, the win was huge. The team needed it, and it was definitely makes the trip a lot easier. But when you hit a 15-yard chip shot, I don't feel like the hero there. I think the hero there was Christophe Beaulieu, who made the strip forced fumble there in overtime. That was the game winner, and JB with the clutch catch and all that stuff. So it was a full team win, and it was huge for us BC Lions team, and it just absolutely helped this locker room out tremendously.
When I was a kid and I used to look at the stats, I would, pour over the kicker stats, and a kicker would probably miss a couple of converts per year, and that's you've turned field goals into that stat. You had the audacity to miss one this past week. How dare you? But I thought what a start to the season he's had. But then I looked over your last couple of these seasons where you've gone 50 of 53 in the last 2 seasons. You've turned field goals into my boyhood convert stat where you just don't miss the damn things.
Yeah, well, I've kind of come up with the mindset where, like, if I'm practicing it by myself, I don't miss. So why do I miss in a game? It's usually because of my own mind. If I was smarter, I'd be pretty dang good at this thing. So you know, I don't know. It's all mental, my game, and I've been really working on that. So and again, just try to have the same routine, the same approach to every kick, and I do it all through practice, so everything's the same in a game, and it's just repetition and time. And I've missed a lot too in my past, so I've learned a lot from mistakes. So I just think I should never miss from 50 and in, especially. I should never miss. Going into that 53-yarder, I had the wind at my back. I was making 55s, almost 57s in warm-up, and I felt like I should make it, but I just pushed it. And it's just like a golf swing, you know. It's just, you feel good. Sometimes it just doesn't come off the club that well, and that's exactly what happened there.
Your offense is good this year. It's not electric like it has been in years past. Does that put more pressure on you? Do you feel like the onus is going to be on you to finish drives more with field goals?
No, I want that, though. I want that pressure. I want to be out there to help out the team. But I think we are a great offense, and I think I'm always going to get opportunities because of it. And plus, we're on a great team. When you're on a great team, you're always going to have an opportunity to win, and it's going to be a close game right down to the wire, and it's probably going to come down to a kick. And, you know, I think this team is capable of big things. We just got to clean up some things, and that's just going to come with time together. And as the season goes on, I can see us progressing in the right direction.
When you say it's all mental, Sean, so are you at the point where, like, a garden variety second quarter field goal is now approached in that moment the same as a overtime game-winning field goal? Like, do you draw any distinction there? Do the stakes land with you at all?
Or is
when
it,
you're trotting out?
Is it the fourth quarter one becomes the second quarter? He's saying the second quarter one becomes the fourth quarter. Does the fourth quarter one actually just become the second quarter?
Man, you guys think more than me right now. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. You guys throwing numbers at me. I have no idea. Yeah, I try to take everything. I keep it all the same. But, you know, the one in Montreal, that game winner, yeah, there was some nerve, but I embraced them and I love them. Like, as a kid, you know, I think we all grew up as kids playing sports, playing hockey. Like, this time's going down 3, 2, 1. Sean Whyte scores right before 1 second left, something like that. That you want that game winner, and it's just, I'm living a dream in that moment. Yes, I feel the pressure. Yes, I feel the stress, but I love it, and I practice those situations on my own. Obviously, you can't make it as much pressure as happening in real life, but you try to. But when those situations happen, I'm actually inside. I'm stressing, but it's also a lot of fun. I love it, but obviously it sucks when you miss. Just a lot more fun when you make it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I don't want to fill your head with stats here, but you are converting on 95.5% this year, which would be an upgrade over the 94.3 of last season on field goals. You appropriate. You mentioned hockey. I just learned, I think I was today years old. You wear number 10 for Pavel Bure?
Yeah. Pavel is my favorite player. I got his autographed jersey. My wife bought me an autographed Pavel Bure jersey. Pavel is my favorite of all time by far. So I used to tuck my jersey in like him when I played hockey at Semiahmoo. And, I love that guy. I miss that guy a lot. But when it was him and McGillney too, that was an awesome pairing. But I loved when it was him, Greg Adams, Gino Ojek was, protecting him. Those days, the 94, was it 93, 94 Canucks, 93, 94 Blue Jays. Those were my two favorite teams of all time.
What kind of hockey player were you?
What kind of was I? I was kind of just a hustle guy. I was more of a grinder, I guess, playmaker. That's because my dad always said.
Agitator? Were you an agitator at all, do you think?
I think I was, but I didn't think I was, but I would bug people, but I was always taught not to ever respond. So just agitate, skate as hard as I can for 45 seconds, get off the ice.
Some of us remember the young Sean Whyte, and he was absolutely an agitator around that locker room and practice field.
You talking about was it 03 me, 18-year-old me practicing? Yeah, I was
something like that. Yeah,
yeah, I probably ruffled a few feathers.
You guys are 4-5 on the season, and honestly, it seems like each week I don't know what to expect. You guys probably feel that to some degree as well, but you're only halfway through this long CFL slog, so. You guys feel like you're still defining who the BC Lions are here this season?
Yeah, I think we're figuring it out. Again, it's we've been so close in the losses we've been taking. We just got to finish the game, and it's such a fine line between losing and winning in this league, and anyone can beat anybody. Again, it's just it's like a mistake. That's just one mistake in a game that's kind of ending our day. But again, yeah, I think it happens every year. You got to get better and grow as a team. Injuries are going to happen. The depth are going to come in, and they're going to get experience. But as long as we are firing and healthy at the right time, just like any hockey team, when you got a hot goalie, you ride that goalie. If our quarterback's hot and healthy, we got a great chance at this. But we just got to learn right now from our mistakes, have some depth, get in and play, get some reps. And when it comes down to it at the end of the day at the Grey Cup, that team that has overcome adversity and has had some troubles, that's the team that's going to win, not the team that's been winning out all season long. I think, I don't want to bring it up, but Winnipeg's always been those guys to win out the whole friggin' season and then can't get it done in the Grey Cup, because that team that's been going through adversity and challenges, they're the ones that end up winning.
Passaglia got to a point in the Lions locker room, Sean, where Julio called him the Oracle. Like, basically, he could speak for the team. He was viewed as a team leader. All of those things.
He wore robes.
Now I know Now I know it's been 2 stints for you as a Lion, but can kickers today be team leaders? Can they be voices that stand up and talk to the whole room? Have you ever done that?
Yeah. I think starting about a year or two ago, I found like when I needed to say something, I could do it and everyone kind of shut up and listen, which was very shocking. But there's some things I do got to say because I do have the experience and I do know what it takes to win a Grey Cup. And these guys do definitely respect me. And I don't say much, but when I do say something, I know they listen and they like to hear from me. So, and I do have guys that come up and ask me for advice, and it's kind of cool. And I'm actually trying to do some more stuff at practice. Like I do the scout team cards and kind of that stuff. So people are calling me coach now, and guys come up to me for advice, and that's really cool because I would like to coach one day, or maybe somewhere else in football, but I've been doing this now since I was 18 years old, and I don't know what else to do. I tried out the firefighting. Yeah, that's cool, but I think I want to stay in sport, and I don't want to leave. So no, I do have the respect from these guys, but as long as I keep making my kicks, I guess I get the respect. Just don't miss it.
Yeah, well, that's
right.
it. Yeah. That's it. And of course, the other thing in October, you 40 now. It's a big number.
Thanks for rubbing that in. That's really
well,
nice. Yeah. And I have my annual birthday with the team. My wife usually plans it. We usually go to Roxy or something. So I heard the 40-year-old, well, I can't even speak anymore. The 40-year-old birthday is going to be as a big one. I know some guys are talking about it around the locker room already. Like, what are we going to do? It's got to be a big one. So we'll see what happens.
I've heard you might have to wear the gray jersey all the time when you're 40.
Yeah,
that's like gray hair. Or what?
Yeah.
Someone say it's the last birthday we're celebrating. You see that kid in Jacksonville hit the 70-yard field goal this weekend?
Yeah, that was crazy. That's a big leg right there.
How is it, like, Blake and I have talked about this for a long time because it's pretty much happened through the 14 years that we've been doing this program. Oh my God, is field goal kicking good now? And are you guys good now? In terms of accuracy and distance, did it just have the most growth potential, the most room for improvement of any specialty within a sport? Like, what explains just how good you guys are now, both sides of the border, in terms of accuracy and in distance?
Money. The guys in the NFL, okay, let's start. When I wanted to go to play Division I football, I was a good kicker practicing with the BC Lions as an 18-year-old, and I was trying to go to Division I. And every school I ever contacted, they're like, we're just going to scholarship a soccer player that goes to the school. And then talking to kickers, they're like, well, I don't want to do that. You get made fun of. There's a stigmatism being a kicker. You don't want to be that guy. And when I was asked to be the kicker for White Rock, I'm like, no, that's lame, man. I'm the captain of my rugby team, my hockey team. I want to go be a kicker. But now I think people see how much money they can make being in the NFL, even in the CFL. We make good money now. So why not go be a kicker? And especially the soccer players, the rugby players. And now we're global. And we got Carl Meyer. Like, that guy can hit 65-yard field goals. Like, he's got a huge leg. But yeah, I just think guys now are seeing the benefit of getting to the NFL, making millions of dollars kicking a ball, and now I think it's more respected like that. So you're getting more athletes coming in instead of just that kid that couldn't play any other position. They stuck him in as a field goal kicker or something. So you're getting the good athletes, but kickers are the best athletes on the team.
By the way, that 70-yarder in the preseason game, it would have been the NFL record had it happened in a regular season game. I mean, I think the NFL record is going to go down. I think it's going to go down several times over here as we.
So you were a 10 in rugby too, but that's not what the number comes from.
No, I just always loved 10. But so my brother was a fly half in rugby too, and it was just I could play fullback or fly half, but I'm like, I really want number 10. So I worked my butt off to get to the standoff position. But then when I played Bayside Sharks, they moved me to 15, which kind of sucks, but whatever. I love it. Number 10 just looks good. Every best soccer player is number 10.
Yep. So. And your 10th game of the season happens Saturday at BC Place, 4 p.m. against the Montreal Alouettes, looking to get to 500 and start off on the right foot in the second half. Sean Whyte, thank you for the time as always, sir.
Thanks, Sean.
Great catching up.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So, Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center, where if there's a big game downtown, and there could be a very big game downtown Sunday if you know who plays. Make it more than just a night. Make it a memory. Stay steps from all the action here at the Sheraton Vancouver Wall Center with an exclusive Harrison Price rate. Call 604-331-1000. Mention the show. Some blackout date supply. Subject to availability. Before we get going, I had the final segment here. We're going to talk about the baseball and Canadian Football League. What a weekend. Not to mention SFU. I had a delightful experience on vacation at the Prince George Golf and Curling Club. It was my first time playing that track, and we had a blast. But we found ourselves playing just in front, Blake, of the guys who call it Black Friday. They play from the black tees on Fridays, and then they regale on the patio. So I want to shout out and say hello to Dave Dick, a huge listener in PG, his brother Ken here in North Van, Super Bowl Jim Dodds, who was nice enough to come up and say hello. Spent some time with Jim a number of years ago when he was working in the beer industry. A letter legend Rick, Presidente Chet, and everybody at the Prince George Golf and Curling Club who made us feel so at home. Also want to shout out Patrick and Kyla and Penticton. Thank you for stopping and saying hi. Ryan in the Riv and Greg at Salties. You know, you go around the province on vacation and all of a sudden you hear Sakaris. Next thing you know, you're meeting a new friend.
We should do a Black
Sometimes
Friday at Northlands or Redwoods or something like that. You know, we should.
The game's hard enough for me. I don't need to make it any more difficult by playing inappropriate tees. In fact, I don't think any of you should play inappropriate tees either. Like, I see guys hacking away from the blues, and I go, what in God's name are you doing playing those tees?
The course architect, though, has a lot more fun figuring out where the blacks go. That's the difference.
Oh, yeah.
They are in way more scenic spots. You get to see the course so differently.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, it's kind
more
of fun.
it. Yeah. Incredible week 10 in the CFL, where 2 games are won in the final minute with touchdowns, and 2 games feature walk-off field goals. Points aplenty. You had comebacks. You had back and forth like we saw in the Lions-Tabbies game this weekend. Had it all. We can only hope for more of the same here in week 11, which gets going on Thursday, of course, with Ottawa and Winnipeg. Then you got Toronto at Edmonton, Hamilton and Saskatchewan, and the Lions will play the final game of the week Saturday here at home against the Alouettes. That's a 4 p.m. kickoff.
You can play this game in both directions for the Lions, but it's like so many close games that, you know, if you just get one or two of them.
Oh, for sure.
But, you know, there's so many close games. If you had dropped a couple of those, you know, they've got some close wins as well. So,
and this is, of course, again, another full week. And you see this midseason, the CFL, of a full East versus West. So you will have rooting interests in the Red Blacks, Argos, and Tabbies, all of them on the road.
Yeah.
playing their West Division opponents. Staying with football, or at least, and should also mention, Calgary beating Winnipeg on the weekend and sweeping the Bombers this year. It helps BC get to third place. They're now a game back of Winnipeg. It will show as just one loss in the standings column, but of course it functionally works as a game because the Leos have lost the tiebreaker to the Bombers. But it puts second place in a home playoff game a little further away. The Stamps are now 6-3, so that's 2 games up, and they haven't played each other yet, though. That's the good news. BC play at Calgary on September 19th. The Stamps are here on October 4th. Staying with football, at least I hope we're staying with football. SFU considering a return to Canadian competition after issues with the NCAA. The school issued a statement on Thursday. Steve Ewan of the Province and Post Media saying multiple sources have told him that the NCAA has been a conversation. Leaving the NCAA has been a conversation for several weeks now at the school. Apparently concerns about going back and forth across the border. Of course, it's a different border these days with the new administration. And new NCAA rules limiting the participation of transgender athletes. They would have to apply for reinstatement into U Sport and to Canada West. I saw our friend Farhan Lalji, of course, SFU alum, tweeting that it was only a matter of time. I saw Jim Mullen, the past president of Football Canada, and a friend from this industry, TSN Gridiron, Canadian Gridiron, saying he isn't so sure. He says, even if SFU makes the move, I don't see football returning. Trinity Western or Fraser Valley are possible options for football, which I'd actually never heard those schools connect. Maybe I wasn't listening enough, but I hadn't heard of an interest in those schools playing football.
As a father of a couple of kids that are nibbling away at the possibility of collegiate sports, it would be nice to have, like, they have no inclination to play for SFU at NCAA, but at the U Sport level, my girls are field hockey players. They don't have a field hockey program there now, but maybe they would be more inclined to if they join Canada West and U Sports. I mean, it'd be nice to have more options, more rivalries, bigger games.
I think a Shrum Bowl game could be a real event in this town, and I'm not sure it would be big enough early on if it gets revisited, where it requires a bigger stadium, but, dare to dream about a lower bowl BC place one day for that game.
Well, like we need a football program first.
Well, that's it. Yeah. But that's what I'm talking about is
but even hoops games, Matt, like a big hoops.
Yeah, no,
like,
exactly.
It would be a lot of fun.
We went to an SFU UBC basketball game a couple of years ago, and it was great fun with, alums and fans from both sides. So, I'd love to see it one day. And, the NCAA participation from SFU. It made sense to me back in the NAIA days where they would go. I mean, Giulio tells the story of his Italian parents in their home in Toronto trying to process what SFU was trying to tell him. We will pay for your son to come here and play football. It was mind-blowing to them.
Yeah.
And, of course, at the time, CIS, CIAU, CIS, now U Sport, programs couldn't provide athletic bursary, so SFU stood out. That's why you got the best players like Giulio Caravana or Vili. Both grew up in Toronto, went out to SFU. SFU recruited nationally because of that. It's not the same anymore.
No.
Especially because the NCAA is mining Canada for talent in every sport. I mean, like I can't get over how many Canadians play now in the women's March Madness tournament. It's an extraordinary number each and every year. Yep. So, no, it's not the same anymore. And for me, some of the SFU reasoning for wanting to play NCAA, well, this is what our founders wanted. Well, the world has changed.
Yeah, things change.
Yeah. The Mariners have won a season-high 7 straight after sweeping Tampa for their second straight series sweep. They're 9-1 in their last 10, now just a half game back of Houston for first place in the AL West. The deadline moves have worked out. Canadian Josh Naylor with 4 home runs and 11 stolen bases, and he's a big boy. since coming over from Arizona. Suarez has yet to heat up. I imagine he will. Ichiro honored at the ballpark following his induction into Cooperstown earlier this month. They begin a 9-game road trip the M's do tomorrow in Baltimore. The Jays get one off the Dodgers, but closer Jeff Hoffman continues to struggle. Walked 5 yesterday in a blown save. Mason Fluharty had to pick him up, striking out MVPs Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts to preserve the win. It's the first time in 23 years somebody has struck out back-to-back MVPs to gain a save.
And that's after they were obliterated in the first 2 games.
Oh, were they ever? That
So,
was if
big
you
win.
felt the Toronto Blue Jays were a World Series contender, I think the Los Angeles Dodgers,
Well, although
the
the
defending
Dodgers,
champs, showed them a thing or two about what a World Series team looks like in those first couple of games.
that's right. The Dodgers might be in a different class, though. They seem like they're rope-a-doping through this season and might be cresting at the right time. So
Jays reportedly promoting top prospect, pitching prospect Trey Yesavage to AAA. We saw him earlier this season in Vancouver. He was too good for this league.
that's a good run.
Skipper John Schneider has already mused about using Yesavage out of the bullpen for the big league club at some point this year. Keegan Matheson, who had that report, also reporting the Vancouver Canadians are going to lose right-hander Fernando Perez to a promotion to Double-A. He has been scintillating of late, including Saturday at the Nat in front of a sellout crowd where he went 7 innings, allowing just 1 run and 3 base runners. Caesar getting 2 pitchers up from Single-A Dunedin, including a right-hander Silvano Hechavarria, the Jays' number 26 prospect. They lose 4 of 6 to Hillsborough last week at the Nat, including 7-5 before a sellout crowd yesterday, where a home run and 4 RBI from Arjun Nimala wasn't enough, nor was 5 scoreless from starter Chris McIlvaine. Caesar 10 games back with 24 to play in the second half standings. So it doesn't look like we'll see playoff baseball at the Nat this year, which means you have but 2 more homestands to take advantage of to see baseball at Nat Bailey this year, starting next Tuesday, August 19th, against Tri-City. Get your tickets, 604-872-5232 or CanadiansBaseball.com.
Back to the majors for a second here.
Yes.
The parity this year is kind of crazy. Does this seem odd that there is one team in the major leagues that has a winning percentage above .581? There will, in all likelihood, there will be one 600 team. Does that seem odd to you?
That's Milwaukee.
Yeah. And the fact that it's the
And it's
Milwaukee
Milwaukee.
Brewers
Yeah.
that are doing it, and they're well above it. They're
Milwaukee-
at 624 baseball.
Milwaukee and Detroit have been terrific
And
all
the,
year.
And the Dodgers have, as I said, kind of slow played the season a little bit. The Yankees are now terrible.
There's part of me that wants to think that it is more wide open this year than it has been in the past. But watching parts of those first 2 Dodgers-Blue Jays games does
what I'm
make
saying,
me wonder that when LA plays to its best, is anybody, especially when they're healthy, like that's the other thing about the Dodgers. They just run through starting pitchers.
But the AL might be
injuries.
as wide open as it appears.
I would think so. Look, I think Seattle's got a very good opportunity to make its first World Series.
Yeah.
They have the best starting rotation.
Yep.
And now they've supplemented the hitting, so that's a very good-looking ball club. Blue Jays are a good-looking ball club, too. I'm awfully worried about this bullpen, though, going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And, like Detroit is a team that made the playoffs last year. They get more out of the sum of their parts. And, Houston, they did some deadline wheeling and dealing as well. Yeah, it's going to be fun in October. It always is fun in October. I just don't feel most Octobers, again, with the exception of the occasional super team, and the Dodgers may be a super team.
How about Shane Bieber as a closer?
Well, how about Max Scherzer as a closer?
Yeah, you are.
You may have to. How about Trey Savage as a closer?
I thought of that too.
I do wonder, some 11 days after the trade deadline, if you gave Atkins and Shapiro a do-over, would they had gone out and gotten one of those higher-end bullpen arms to either serve as closer or be there lest Hoffman continue to blow up. Results from the Bogey Juice poll question on Thursday. I want revenge. Will we see a motivated EP40 when the new Canucks season begins? Yes or no, people said.
People said yes.
Percentage?
80.
Yep, right on the number. Fish answered. Going to bet the house on EP40 over points projection. Easy money. Oh, okay. Ricky says, revenge on himself? Question mark. There was a lot of who does he want revenge on? John, oh, please, everybody in the NHL is motivated. That's the bare minimum. AI, why wasn't he motivated before? Even if he was as injured as his fanboys keep suggesting, he should have still been motivated. Instead, he had to be told to practice and prepare better. The only revenge he needs is on himself for sucking for 1.5 years.
His critics. Revenge against his critics.
One would think. Yeah. One would think. Errors and omissions was perfect shows all last week.
I would assume. We weren't here, so I'm sure they were in good hands.
Mike, did you catch any errors or omissions with JPAD?
Oh, JPAD was perfect.
JPAD was perfect again?
100%.
There you go. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time and connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to all our assorted channels, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow on social. That's X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky. Live on many of those platforms, noon Pacific time weekdays. We are down to 3 shows this week. There'll be no show Tuesday. We'll be back Wednesday, Thursday. No show Friday either. And, of course, please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about and keep it local.